Okay, so that's our usual 1 minute grace period. So good afternoon and welcome to this 1 hour webinar on metering program support, where we're going to explore what's available in terms of funding and how to do metering planning, the technologies that are available, instrumentation, and as well as some of the newer innovations that are coming out within metering as well. My name is Jared Leake and I'm the CEO of the Australian Alliance for Energy Productivity. And I'd like to start this webinar today by acknowledging the traditional custodians of country throughout Australia and their connections to land, sea and community, and pay our respects to the elders, certainly at this tough time after the referendum last week. I'd like to acknowledge also the members that help us fund such webinars. This is our fantastic set of members. We continue to grow each month and our network just gets stronger and stronger. And these members share our vision to improve energy productivity throughout Australia and to do smart and fast decarbonisation. And without their fantastic support, we couldn't be here today. So thanks to our members. Just a touch of housekeeping there. The webinar today will be recorded and that'll be distributed next week along with the slides. We'll be taking questions after we hear from Robert Hughes from OECC about the program, and then we'll have another round of questions at the end, time permitting. If you do have a question, feel free to open up that Q&A box down the bottom and type in your question there. Or type something in chat if you want a bit of a sidebar discussion. Each of our presenters will have time to answer your questions, so feel free to hit them with that. Just a little bit, I thought I'd kick off a little bit of a personal reflection on metering that I've come across after 25 years of engineering and process design and what have you. This is my little version of what I see happening over my career and of trying to install energy efficient equipment and what have you. Metering has been the sort of forgotten part of equipment installation for so often and for so long. It seems to get cut. And we've seen that over the years lead to either a limited understanding of what's possible with improvement opportunities that can instantly short circuit to energy efficiency projects. We're getting deprioritized, and again that cycle can go around like that. Or if we don't have the right data there in the first place, but a project does go ahead, it's not really well supported in terms of the return on investment, giving the feeling that energy efficiency is not quite the fantastic return on investment that people get told that it is. So getting metering right really is the key to seeing these sort of projects go ahead. Once you've got that good data, you're sizing products and solutions correctly, and I think importantly, you're able to celebrate results and celebrate achievement and celebrate the investment there. And I think that is just so important here. And so that's why we're really encouraged that when likes of New South Wales government, and I just hear now that the Queensland government is also doing some sponsoring of metering programs and what have you to make sure that people do see the benefits of that, and really hope that kickstarts a wave of excellent metering across industry. So to take us through a metering update and what's going on, the state of play, we've got 4 great speakers for you today. Robert Hughes from the Office of Energy and Climate Change in New South Wales Government is going to kick us off and talk about funding. We've got Carlo Baghdadi from Schneider Electric is going to talk to us about metering. Gus from Enderson Houses is going to take us through where some big energy users are on a process site and the metering solutions for those. And finally, Brad Parsons from Reliability is going to take us through a little bit on Internet of Things, Industry 4.0, and a little bit of how AI is now helping. So to kick us off today, I'd like to welcome Robert Hughes. Robert Hughes has recently joined New South Wales OECC after 6 years of Neighbours, where he's done plenty on the auditing programs and what have you, done plenty in the water and environmental engineering industry. And so we're definitely in safe hands to take us through what the government's planning there. And Robert, I'll get you to, I'll stop sharing. I'll get you to start your presentation there. Robert is actually also joined by Brian Yeo from OECC as well, who'll be here to help with any questions that may come up there. But Robert, over to you to take us through this fantastic program that you guys are just about ready to launch.
Thanks very much, Jared. So good afternoon. As mentioned, I'm Rob Hughes, a Senior Project Officer with the New South Wales Office of Energy and Climate Change. I'd also like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the lands we're all on and their elders, past and present. Thanks for coming along to hear about the initiatives of the New South Wales Government supporting businesses to get the most out of metering and monitoring and to achieve energy and emission savings. Today, I'll give you a bit of an overview of some of the initiatives within our $12 million metering package and how you could get involved. And we're happy to take some questions afterwards as time allows. So let's start with a video of a success story from one of our previous programs. Tip Top Bakeries, one of the largest producers of bread and bakery products in Australia and New Zealand, took part in the manufacturing efficiency program and installed a co-funded sub-metering system at their Chullora site. So just bear with me while I bring that up.
Baking is a very energy intensive process, and our mixing alone takes up a very large portion of our energy costs. In 2021, we received a grant from the New South Wales Government to install electricity submeters, and we managed to put those across all our bread lines and our production facilities, which has been able to really give us much more insight into our power use and give us a breakdown of how much we're using in our factory. The benefits of installing submeters on our site was immediate. We were able to drill down into our two identical bread lines and find that they had some very slight differences in energy consumption, and we were able to go and attack those and fix those. Probably the biggest thing we found is our air compressors on site consumed a much larger proportion of our electricity use than we were expecting. We've installed an air optimizer on site, which has been able to knock about 8 to 10% off our energy use on our air compressors. Installing submeters on site has really helped us achieve and work towards our 2025 environmental targets, which include reducing greenhouse gases by 30%. Since we've installed the submeters on site here, we found the business case to work really well, and we'll be looking at rolling those out across our other 14 bakeries across Australia and New Zealand. Acting on environmental challenges here at Tip Top is really key to what we're doing. So anything we can do to reduce our footprint and move to sustainable energy is really great for us and for everyone.
Okay, so this case study should be available via our website shortly, and we hope for many more success stories like this through our metering package. So the $12 million metering package that I'll discuss today is delivered by Office of Energy and Climate Change. The package supports businesses to get the most out of energy metering and monitoring, and the package includes several initiatives, including round one of sub-metering grants, which is now closed, the metering and monitoring planning program, which is open currently, round one of metering plan implementation grants, which are expected to open this year, and an energy performance services initiative expected to open next year. So I'll focus on the specifics of the projects that are of immediate current interest, which are the metering and monitoring planning program and the metering plan implementation grants. Our metering and monitoring planning program is currently open, so I'd encourage you to take a look at our website. And this is how it works, essentially. Service providers from our panel will develop comprehensive metering and monitoring plans for the approved sites, and will pay those service providers up to $15,000 per metering and monitoring plan, depending on the assessed entity's annual spend on non-transport energy. So New South Wales businesses can currently express their interest in participating by going through the program webpage. Some key eligibility criteria are listed here, but please make sure to go to our website for full information. But some of these criteria include there must be a business in a manufacturing sector or another industrial or commercial sector. They should have a complex energy system in terms of the number of processes, distribution systems, energy types, or end users involved. There should be a site or facility located in New South Wales and spend more than $200,000 on energy annually per site, including all purchased fuels, aside from fuel for transport. And they should have a clear and justifiable objective for developing a metering and monitoring plan. And if the site is a commercial building, then it's the base building that is being considered for eligibility. So we are also expecting to launch a grants program for the implementation of metering and monitoring plans. Now, more information will be available following the launch, which is expected this year. But we can advise we may fund up to 50% of costs for eligible projects. So watch this space. The best way to keep in contact is to add your expression of interest via our website. So please get in contact for any more information. Thanks for listening today. I think we can take some questions if there are any.
Thanks very much, Robert. Short and sweet with good news there. And round one, when you were helping with this implementation, I recall there were $25,000 co-funding grants, if I'm not mistaken.
For the grant, sorry.
For the implementation, the first, when you did that last year, that was $25,000 per site, I believe.
I'll jump into that question. We give, I think, up to 20,000 for that, not 25, and that one was sub-metering grants.
Sub-metering.
Yep.
And so this would have you're hoping to make it something similar to that then as well. So it's metering as well as this. So this would cover instrumentation and things like that as well.
Yep. But for this grants round, we are targeting larger energy users compared to the sub-metering grants. Yep.
Gotcha. That's the difference.
Yeah.
Thank you. And that was excluding transport fuels as well. That's right.
Yep, the criteria is almost similar. It's just the target audience is different.
Okay, great.
Yep.
Not too many Q&A coming on that one. Maybe Robert, it's just straightforward, and it's like, great, there's going to be submissions coming. But if I understand, it was $12 million. It was the 12 million. Was that across that was covering the $15,000 for the planning and the 20,000 for the implementation? So that's for both those. Yep.
Yeah, I think that that's all from the $12 million pool.
Yeah, great. So hopefully you'll be helping a good few hundred sites in New South Wales.
As many as we can, hopefully.
A quick question here is: have you helped many dairy companies access the previous grants? I've seen those.
Brian has probably more background on this. Do you have an answer for that, Brian?
Yep. Not quite sure on the sub-metering grants, but we do have previous dairy companies accessing our previous programs. So I would say there's a couple.
Okay. So with that one, the question there from Ian, we might need to crack the whip across dairy and make sure they're well and truly ready for this one. So good. We'll be waiting for that. Thank you so much. Look, if there's no more questions, we'll move on. But if there is, feel free to type them in, and Robert can answer them as we go through that. One quick question has come through before we move. Would you support temporary metering? So I guess that means when it's being rented. Also, temporary metering, is that going to be covered?
That's all right. We'll respond to that question in the Q&A.
Okay, no worries.
Yeah. Thanks, Jared.
Okay, so that first part of that was the $15,000 for implementation, for planning rather, and so I thought, look, let's go straight into what that sort of planning looks like. And Carlo, if you're there, I'll get you to share your screen. Carlo joins us from Schneider Electric and has been working for 15 years with energy efficiency and sustainability industries. And Carlo, I just wish there was selling more when I was selling equipment there to help us show the benefits of things. So anything you can do to get that more metering and planning done out there is going to be great. So Carlo, I'll now hand over to yourself.
Thanks, Jared. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Carlo Bogdati. I work in Schneider Electric's sustainability business. I've been invited to talk to you about a critical aspect of managing any business or project efficiently, and that's metering and monitoring plans. These plans serve as the backbone of effective management, providing us with the data and insights necessary to make informed decisions. optimize processes, and achieve our energy efficiency and sustainability goals. Today, I'll be discussing why metering and monitoring plans are essential, what they entail, and how to implement them effectively. First, I'd like to touch on where metering fits into our overall decarbonisation journey. At Schneider Electric, we often refer to the use of decarbonisation levers to deal with our Scope 1, 2 and 3 emissions. These levers are electrify, reduce, replace, balance and engage. Metering and monitoring plans, which you also might hear people like me refer to as MMPs, sit in our reduce and digitise reporting levers. Next, I'd like to talk about why MMPs are so essential. An MMP is the first step towards implementing an energy management system and can help achieve many objectives, including increased energy efficiency. As it states to the far right, energy savings can be 15% or more from an EMS or energy management system. And with the cost of energy on the rise, efficiency is even important now than ever. MMPs can lead to optimised resource allocation because as we have accurate data on resource usage and efficiency, we can allocate resources more effectively, leading to cost savings and improved productivity. Furthermore, metering can enable data-driven decision-making. No longer are decisions made on gut feelings. These days, we need real-time data to understand what's happening, why it's happening, and what we should do about it. Also, they provide us with a mechanism to evaluate performance, whether it's a manufacturing process or trialling a software application. Understanding how well something is performing is crucial for continuous improvement. They can help us identify and mitigate risks by monitoring various aspects of a project or operation. We can spot potential issues before they become significant problems, saving both time and resources. They also help to ensure that we meet regulatory requirements and maintain accountability in our operations. So now that we understand why metering and monitoring plans are essential, let's delve into what they entail. So an MMP report is created from on-site investigations by engineers and metering experts working and in collaboration with the customer, who are often also site engineers. The report serves as an investment decision grade tool to assist companies to make decisions on an EMS or energy management system. So in an MMP report, you would typically see the following sections. It will start by defining clear objectives. What are you trying to achieve with your monitoring efforts, and specifically what data you need to collect and why? It will include analysis of all the energy sources using the available data on hand to understand overall usage at an hourly, daily, monthly and yearly basis. Next, an energy distribution boundary, where you define what energy sources and systems services you will monitor. It will include a system design encompassing everything from how many metering points, what kind of meter, what CT, where there are any existing meters perhaps, or systems to integrate, what communication devices are required, and how data is collected, and so on. It will include the installation costs, so the cost for meters, cost for installation, integration, the cost for communications and cloud services. And finally, next steps, including how to go to market, details for any recommended energy performance or bureau services, recommendations for an energy manager or energy team, and which stakeholders to involve with this project. Now, let's explore how to implement metering and monitoring plans effectively. Step one is to select your partner to assist with developing your MMP report. Companies like Schneider Electric and our eco experts are here to assist with this and to assist with developing strategies, goals, and identifying potential government grants, which you've already heard about. During step two, your partner will complete the MMP, including designing a metering solution, identifying critical metering points, deciding on appropriate data collection models, presenting the right tools and technologies for data collection, and all the analysis required for the MMP report. This also includes developing and refining a business case for the metering system. So now you're at implementation stage of your MS, where you will finalise the solution and develop fixed costs to procure metering, complete installation, commissioning, and integration. Post-implementation, with the metering system now installed, it would be time to initiate your active energy management plan. An important point I'd like to make with metering systems, they won't save energy themselves. You need to take action based on what the metering system is telling you. It is important to regularly review and refine your monitoring plans as your business evolves, as your objectives and metrics may need to change as well. So thinking about the first step now, how best do we go about choosing the right partner? Your partner needs to be across the latest in technology and innovation. That is a no-brainer. Of critical importance, they need to be up to date with data security and privacy to protect sensitive information and comply with privacy regulations. Reliability is of great importance, working with a partner who stands by their products and services and will be around in the future. The ease and ability to integrate to existing systems that you might have on site is also vital. Also of equal importance, customization and scalability to meet your custom needs. It is also imperative that all compliance and regulations are considered. And for the long term, with maintenance and warranty, that is of critical importance. Oh. Sorry. Computer froze up there for a second.
Right.
Moving to a case study. I'd just like to finish up on a case study here. So this is a EMS that was recently installed for a commercial building. Keep in mind, this can be applied to other types of industries and sites. But what I wanted to draw to everyone's attention is the customer challenges and benefits from the energy management system, which includes an integrated energy management system and control system, the ability to build tenants, event notification, power quality harmonics, monitoring and mitigation, the ability to maximize energy efficiency, and also reporting towards neighbours. These are just some of the reasons why metering and monitoring plans are so important, as they could lead to EMSs and lead to so much more efficiency. So that's all I have time for today. I hope you have a clearer understanding of the why, the what, and the how of metering and monitoring plans. Thank you.
Excellent. Thanks so much for that, Carlo. A really good process to follow. Thank you. You'll see those grants they're coming, looking at for $15,000 for that planning. I've heard of sites spending $100,000 or more on their metering planning. $15,000 is that sort of more going to be more for the smaller sites if they want it fully funded? Some will just use the $15,000 to reduce the cost of a larger study. But is that really going to just be for smaller sites? Is that or do you think you can get a reasonable site done for that $15,000?
I think Jared, it all comes down to the size of the site. $15,000 will probably cover your average commercial building, industrial site. If you're talking multiple sites, potentially across multiple states, or in this case, we're talking New South Wales or multiple locations within New South Wales, for instance, you might expect to pay a little bit more. But there is a lot of a lot of time spent on site. Sometimes the engineers can be on site for 2 or more days to collect all the data, to have all the discussions with the client, to understand what existing systems there are, to make sure you integrate to any existing systems, because most sites that you go to will have some form of metering. They make the sites may not be making the most of it. So, but hopefully that answers the question.
Yeah, good. So you could expect quite a few sites to be happy with that $15,000. That will be then fully funding, and so we'll hopefully get a really good response there. Good, thank you. Very good. So let's change gears now and talk about the bit more about the equipment. And for that, we invited on Gustavo Quiros, if I got that correctly, Gus, from Endress & Hauser. Gus has been working with E&H for some 13 years and has a passion for sustainability and energy solutions. And you get that from the first time that you meet with Gus. Gus, I'll get you to start sharing your presentation, and you're really keen to see how you recommend going about this metering for these areas in the plant that takes a lot of energy. Over to you, Gus.
Awesome. Yep. Can you hear me?
Gotcha.
Legend. All right. Hey, everyone. Great being here with you guys. So, Jared, you mentioned my name properly. My name is Gustavo Quiros. So people just simply call me Gus, and we are Endress & Hauser. So we are your partner for process improvement. So if you've never heard about E&H before, I'm going to give you a quick overview about what we do. So we're a global instrumentation supplier that basically supply all the sensors and devices that is actually responsible to get the data from your process. But we don't stop there. We're actually really interested on delivering the right integration. So we can supply the data to your local control system, to your SCADA, and even to cloud-based solutions to make sure that all the relevant stakeholders have actually have access to all the relevant information, data, and insights that they need to drive sustainability and energy efficiency improvements. Okay. One of the things that are really driven is around not only about supplying the instrumentation, but also the whole solution, but also monitoring the whole life cycle of the instrumentation. So Jared mentioned that like the role of data around the on the effectiveness and the success of your metering program. One of the things we often see is like people installing sensors, but once they install it, they basically forget. And one of the things that we need to keep in mind is you need to have like a plan in place to manage and do the proper maintenance and calibration of these devices across its entire life cycle, so you can actually get the most and make sure that you have a reliable and robust system in place, okay? So one of the questions I'm gonna try to answer today, I think there's no, let's say, single answer, is how to get the best bang for buck. I must confess that I'm not a native English speaker, so when I read that sentence, I was like, oh, what's that? I'm glad I have some people here like to go through it with me. But basically, how we can make the most out of our money in terms of process instrumentation. Okay. Again, it's a huge topic. I'm going to just use one simple example, which actually works pretty well because from the case study, we noticed that there were some savings around compressed air. But I want to kickstart with a couple of facts and challenges that we have whenever we have like compressed air systems. First of all, compressed air generation is an efficient process. So every time you're compressing any kind of gas, you have like some heat as a waste. So you're not actually converting, let's say, all the energy that actually supplying to your compressor. And one of the challenges we have is we're often just measuring how much energy we're supplying to our compressor. We're not actually measuring how much, let's say, units or how much air is actually being generated or distributed across our network. So that's point number one. Point number two is around the pressure around our compressed air system. And there are two different ways we can look at pressure. We can look at pressure as the definition we learned from school. Pressure is force divided by area, which kind of like give us a grip about what it is. But a different way for us to look at pressure is by looking at it as an energy density variable, okay? So that give us a little bit of an idea on how pressure and efficiency of your compressed air system is actually working or not. So if you're having like pressure losses across your distribution and network, it means that you're putting a lot of energy in your system, you're not actually converting all that energy into usable work, okay? There are different ways, there are different factors that can actually affect the pressure loss in your network. Some examples are, for example, pressure losses due to some components. A really good example are our filters across your network. Really simple for you to solve. Just go there, replace the filter, and you basically have it sorted. But we live in the real world. After a while, it's going to get clogged and you're going to have to do maintenance. So process instrumentation can actually help you with that. The second main factor is around the infrastructure of your compressed air system. Okay, so depending on how long and on the design, you can actually have some pressure losses inherent from the design, and I don't know, some unplanned expenses that you might have in a distribution network. So these are 2 points. And the third topic is this data is actually based on some feedback we got from customers. We often see a huge amount of compressed air being lost due to leakage. Okay, so one of the challenges we have is we're often just seeing the power consumption of the generator, but we're not seeing how much we're actually losing. And that's one of the things we're trying to address. We are actually addressing with process instrumentation. So I'm going to give you a quick overview on how you can actually use, let's say, instruments and sensors to give you a little bit more of insights about the efficiency of your compressed air system in this case, but also to understand a little bit more how we can, start saving and identify a little bit more the losses. First one is the real-time calculation of your compressed air efficiency, okay? And in this case, we're not just interested on the power that is the compressed air is actually consuming, we're actually integrating the power consumption with the amount of air that is actually being generated. So this gives us a really good visibility about the efficiency of my compressed air system, but also give me some insights to make decisions. For example, do I have to split? Do I need an additional compressed air? Do I need a second one with a, I don't know, with a different power? Should I split this compressed air? So just to give you an idea on how this can actually work. Second one, mass balance about different areas. So this gives you the visibility to identify areas where you have like anomalies in terms of consumption and set the benchmark for you to start working in terms of reduction. All right. As I mentioned, we're talking about pressure. Pressure sensors are extremely accessible today, and that's something that you can easily use to monitor specific components around the distribution network, but also to run some continuous testing. So we have different customers that install pressure devices along their distribution network. And if they're not sure if they're actually having some leakage around that area, they can just close 2 valves and monitor how long the pressure takes to drop. Extremely simple solution that you can actually do or monitor just with a simple pressure device. Again, it's such a huge topic. I'm just throwing there a couple of ideas on a couple of things we can actually do in terms of compressed air, which is a really common topic. But we can bring the same methodology and the same idea to different areas. So we can talk about heating system, cooling systems, steam production and distribution. And one of the cool things we have around these systems is we're not just talking about mass balance, but we're also talking about energy balance. And I think there's a really good point in terms of a really good motivation behind on trying to understand what is your energy balance and to make sure that you're actually distributing energy efficiency across your site. So if you want to know more, we're going to share some more information later on the email that is going to as a follow-up, but we're more than happy to have a share on how we can support you with that. I think that's me, Jared. So yeah, that's me. I'm going to stop sharing.
Brilliant. Thank you so much for that, Gus. We have a question on AI from Carlo's presentation. We'll take that at the end. But Gus, thank you so much for that. You've just about hit on one of our favorites. If you always recommend, if you want to show real energy savings, I know LEDs are easy to do. Great. LEDs feel good. Great. But if you want to show the real energy savings and make a real difference, compressed air, a great place to start. And so with that, if it sounds like, Gus, you'll be able to find those leaks, makes it much easier to track how that leakage and thing is going. And rather than it being a solution of all the time being recommended by supplier A of just make a bigger compressor, hey, this is really going to help you out there to make sure you don't have to get that larger compressor every time as well. Huh?
Yeah, that's correct.
Very good, very good. Thank you for that, Gus. That's great. We'll come back and see if there's any questions come through, and we'll have you here to field those. Moving on now, we are going to go to a bit more to start talking about some innovation and AI. Joined here today by Brad Parsons, the founder and CEO of Reliability. Brad's got a history in software as a service and all about industrial innovation. And Brad, what I liked about when I read about your profile and things, you're not just about technology. You understand the idea of systems thinking and technology enables for social and things like that. So it's not just here's a great logical solution. No. Getting change and transformation is about getting that whole system on board and what have you. So Brad, if I get you to share your presentation, it'd be great for you to take us through what the work you're up to.
Excellent. Thanks so much. Just making sure you can see my screen.
I can indeed. So it's in that mode of where we can see the slides down the bottom. It's not too bad, but if you do the swap displays, hopefully that will
displays.
Yep, our own business. That's
perfect. Thanks very much. Firstly, thanks to Jared and the team for the invite today, and I guess compliments to the speakers have been ahead of me. It's always good to go last. You can see all the great speakers ahead of you, and I guess what we've seen so far is really good process, in terms of implementation of a program. And we've seen obviously the support of New South Wales government. Big plug for Queensland because we're Queensland based. So there's a Made in Queensland grant. Encourage you to have a look at that. Opened on Monday this week. And of course, with Gus, and in terms of looking at the systems level view, and as Jared said, we love to look at the systems view. In this presentation, what I'll do is I just kind of reinforce the message around energy productivity and that systems view, but also give as Jared said, some highlights into some new technologies. We are a consulting, but we're also a solutions business. So I'm talk a bit about that. I guess typically energy has been a bill that's paid. Someone in the procurement teams, you know, we're now seeing businesses seeing it as more strategic and more of a competitive advantage in their business. We think the metering is really the start of that, but providing energy with more context gives it more relevance. And we're going to talk about AI in a second, about how that can really help leverage the data you're collecting. As Jared's business is called, you know, it's about energy productivity. When you start to align energy and productivity, you can really get to understand the efficiency of your business. Trying to map at the machine level of, you know, how many kilograms per kilowatts is really important metric, and metering can really start you down that path. What that then opens up is other angles to understand the relevance of that machine in your environment. And really, it's a proxy for operational efficiency, given the cost of energy inputs these days. It's a more, even more indicative of how well your business is performing. So I encourage people to look at that. What we've seen in my previous business, Movis, was that we instrumented thousands of machines across the globe. But what we found that maintenance faults actually lead to energy increases. Give us some examples of that. A bearing failure, somewhere between 3 and 8% more energy. A misaligned motor can be up to 25% more energy. Something like $12 per degree out of misalignment. So all of that maintenance activity really allows you to operate, to use energy to measure the efficiency of your maintenance activity. And traditionally, it used to be decades ago that you know, maintenance technician would measure the energy, then do the maintenance, then measure the energy. Somehow we've lost that. That's not typical in an environment. So getting those two, getting the energy and maintenance aligned, really gives you a great opportunity to look at the efficiency of your business in different functions. Energy we see as a sort of economic indicator of how well maintenance has actually been done. And the final thing is, when you're collecting all of this pieces of data, often, you know, you're getting so much frequency of data, so much volumes of data. Trying to do that in a human, you know, trying to analyze it using traditional tools, spreadsheets. I know we all run on Excel, but I guess now the opportunity is to use that data to be fed into an AI-based system, and there are a number across the globe that we can recommend. But what these systems are doing is instantly taking an alignment of all this data. They're giving it contextualization, and they're using, you know, you all use ChatGPT, and you've all had a go at ChatGPT. We're now working with partners out of Europe that are actually using that in the industrial context. So they're feeding their maintenance systems, their energy systems, their production systems into a single graph that you can sort of ask the question of what happens to my energy costs if I lift production by 10%? What happens to what are the pumps that most likely fail when I lift my production by 10%? So through the aggregation of all these different data sources, where metering, you know, sort of starts that journey, it's a big opportunity. So effectively, what we're seeing is a digitization really starts at metering. It gives you the opportunity to instrument down at the machine level. Typically, we're monitoring at maybe the circuit level or plant level. We're encouraging people to go down to the machine level. And I wanted to show you some technologies, because traditionally, it's been quite hard to get down to that level without some serious investment. I'm going to show you a couple of technologies where this can be quickly and easily done. The first one I'll show you is a product called FitPower by Movis, and this is literally a strap-on sensor which picks up on single phase or three phase. Which is traditionally hard to do. Obviously, the current cancels each signal out. Normally, you'd split it out into CTs on all of them, and you'd need an electrician to do that. You need to shut down the circuit, and that's, you know, it's been hard work. But with this, as you can see on the screen, anyone in a plant can install this in minutes. Even I can install it, which says a lot, right? And I'm going to show you the other one by a company called Snappy. Again, a local Queensland-based business. They've got a little AI-enabled camera on the back. and you see the gauges there on the screen. Again, this is installed in minutes. It's mobile enabled, so you're up and running in no time. So, you know, doing a metering project doesn't have to be, you know, a very long and extensive process. You know, planning can be cut. If you can get that initial data, you can really screen that out and really target the areas that need improvement for systems and you know, processes like we've seen today. This could be your first tranche at really trying to understand what your planning looks like. But what is this AI that we're sort of talking about? And thought I'd just give a couple of examples here. What systems like this will do is enable you to pick up at the machine level different machine states, different running states. You know, I've got a sort of a cleaning, a cooking oven here. We saw that baking is very expensive on energy, but same for, it might be deep fryers, or it might be, you know, other types of ovens. And we can see, I don't know if you can see it clearly, but you can see these different cycles, and I just kind of call it out. We've got an unknown state at the top. We've got some cooking cycles, deep cleaning, preheat, fast clean, standby. You know, understanding that level of operational states on your machine and the different levels of energy intensity that each of those brings. I'll give an example. Let's say in a supermarket, if the defrost that normally runs from, say, 2 to 3 in the morning is still running at 8 o'clock in the morning, then you've got an issue. You know, you might have all the refrigerated food that's gone stale or shouldn't be sold from that point on. What you can then do with this type of technology is do an alarm on that state. Why hasn't it moved out of that cycle? Why hasn't it, you know, moved into, you know, the freezing cycle? So obviously we can also start to pick up running profiles. And if you've got particular pumps, I think the worst we've seen in a company in the US was a pump was turning off and on 300 times a day. You know, that's an enormous wear and tear on the machine. Obviously maintenance is a nightmare after that, and you're probably replacing that in months anyway. So with this type of technology, if you can chase the power cable and, you know, connect it on, you're up and running. And the last one I was sort of hinted at before was around around the sort of maintenance activity. What's happening with my machine? Am I getting faults or abnormalities or anomalies that are being introduced? Maybe it's a block filter. I think we heard that mentioned before. That will show up in the profiles. And traditionally, you know, rather than big installation effort, lots of planning, put one of these units on, you know, and if you can't find a fault, pick it up and move it to another one. You know, no startup, no shutdown, no cut of loss of power, anything like that. Anyone can do that. So just wanted to give you a bit of a teaser on what's possible, and just be aware that, you know, it's not a big and complex exercise. You can get going. You could instrument your plant in the morning and at least get a reading on what's what. Thanks very much for your time, and thanks to Jared and the other speakers.
Brad, thanks for that. Great to see what's coming there. Has your systems being used for process control? You know, obviously strongly they're hearing about how it's used for maintenance, and great that you're closing that loop. That when people do maintenance, you know, you can actually get a pat on the back and say this was well done.
Yeah.
But what about for actual sort of process efficiency, overall process efficiency? Anything else that it's being used for?
Absolutely. This is kind of creating a feedback loop. You know, do we have anomalous energy usage in a particular phase or a particular part of the process? And once you can start to link different machines together, and you can, like I said, you can do this really quickly. You can instrument the process up in the morning. Anyone can do that. Then you can get a reading on where you're likely to get issues within your process. And that might give you an indicator that you need more formal and more structured energy program to be implemented. But I guess getting that early indicator of where the issues are gives you far faster start than traditionally we've seen in the market.
Brilliant. And that you did mention there about ChatGPT for industry. I haven't heard of that one yet, so I'll have to be looking into that one. That's great. And the idea of asking that to say, for increase my production, what's my energy going to be look like? Because that's right now, if you do that via a digital twin, that's a pretty.
It's really powerful. Yeah, the company called Cognite, COGNITE, a bit of a plug. They're out of Norway. We're working heavily with them, and we think they're amazing.
Excellent. Sounds good.
Thank you.
Carlo, I know Schneider is on the cutting edge as well there. What's happening in that sort of AI space and working with clients on that one?
Look, I'm not as close to the AI stuff as probably others are in the business. I know that it's being looked at across most of our product lines to see what actually can be employed and how it can be used. AI is very powerful. I guess stay tuned. I'll have to probably check in with some product managers to see what's coming.
Yeah, brilliant. Thanks, Carlo. Gus, anything to mention from E&H on the AI side of things and how you're using the data?
Yeah. I think that the AI has like so many different layers we can actually like take advantage of. At least from an EAH perspective, we are focused on process instrumentation. So what we're doing is how we can use the data our instrumentation is actually generating to give, like, for example, maintenance insight. So when do I have to calibrate my flow meter again to make sure that I have an accurate information? So there's been, I don't know, heaps of development and R&D being involved on how we can actually use the data that is actually being generated into our devices to make the most out of it, to improve, I don't know, give customer insights about what's going on with the process, give us more insight about what's going on with our devices, and predict, for example, when a device is going to stop working or will need maintenance. And if you go up into that layer, again, our realm, our expertise there is around process instrumentation, but we do have partners that are actually using, for example, AI to help identify trends. We know one of the challenges, especially around energy efficiency, is trying to sometimes identify some specific patterns. And we know we already have some partners that are actually using AI to try to identify this hidden pattern that sometimes is not actually clear to us, but an algorithm is really can actually dig all that information out straight away. So as I said, different layers. I think everyone is actually playing around in a different one.
Yeah, it's great to see where all this is headed. And for Robert and Brian, this upcoming metering and planning, I'm not sure if that's looking to fund any a little bit of R&D investigations kicking off with AI at all. Is that you envisage that to be part of some of the funding as well? Is that going to be broad enough to cover that sort of activity? Yeah, just on mute there, Robert. If you were going to chime in, or Brian.
Yep. I'll jump in on this one. I think primarily our grants will target installation of recommendations from the metering plan for now. Not so much information is there about AI for now.
So not so much, a bit more hardware focused for now.
Yeah, for now, yeah.
All right, so look for round three planning for next year then. This is good. I did like a few takeaways there from Carlo, but metering won't reduce energy consumption on its own. And certainly we've seen in the past where a metering solution may go in, and people look at that for a few months, get a few quick gains, and it sort of fades away. Carlo, any thoughts on how do you keep this sort of front of mind? What is it that makes this enduring if you get this plan right and implementation right?
I guess you just, without visualizing the data, without knowing what's going on at your facility, you don't know what savings can be achieved. And so I did mention that, you can install the best energy management system, and even with the latest in AI, I'm sure one day AI will be smart enough to make all those sort of decisions to rectify the issues. But right now, it's really up to people on the ground to take the data and to take the necessary actions to address the situations. And just when you think you're operating efficiently or optimized, our organizations, companies these days are evolving all the time, and changes are happening all over the place, including personnel, including process, including the machines and everything that everyone's using. So it's something that you have to continuously check in and actively manage and we call an active energy management and continuous improvement to really optimize your facility and keep that at the forefront for your operations. So use the data. Sometimes, look, in some companies, some organizations don't have the resources internally to do that, to have someone sitting there looking at it, daily. But there are energy bureau services. I know Schneider offers something like that, where we do energy performance services, where we will actually check in on your system regularly, daily, weekly, to see if there are any changes and alert the companies and say, hey, you've got an issue here on this site. There's overnight load over here. So keep that in mind as well.
Yeah, brilliant. And this continuous improvement, we've found is often it's about that culture. We know leaders where it comes right from the top, like companies like Lion Group and Visy, where they're leading those changes, and you really see it filter down. And they really embrace this, all this information, and always looking for that next level of improvement. And we're at their site tours last week, and Lion did an investment, a major sub-metering investment, I think it was about 3 or 4 years ago. And then they ran through all those improvements that data came. And now they're looking at it again to say we need to go down to another level of granularity, and that we think will unlock even more improvements out of that one. So yeah, just keeps on reinforcing this is the right track. Brad, I couldn't help but notice Snappy there. Please tell me I can use that for my dumb gas meter and make that to a bit more of a smart meter. Will that? Oh, you had it on a just a simple dumb electric meter. Can that go into gas as well? Or Energix will do that. So
It will. So literally your dumb gas meter will be lit up, which is very exciting, that you can actually see how much you're paying.
This is wonderful news. Time and time again, we've been doing a lot as our audience would know, a lot in the renewable energy space, and trying to help people transition from a boiler to a heat pump. And I saw a nice analogy there come from people that have installed one recently, with a boiler is like a hair. It reacts quick, but the heat pump's got to be considered like the tortoise. It's quite slow. And to be able to translate one between the other, it's about that gas consumption data, and if you don't have that, it's a very difficult transition, and you'll spend thousands for large equipment. A 1 megawatt solution, you may waste $500,000 if you don't have that good gas consumption data from something no doubt would come from Snappy. So great,
obviously
you're going to make it easy for people to make the right decision.
Absolutely, very relevant. So sorry to cut you off. Very relevant for our colleagues in Victoria, who definitely got a deadline on. In terms of gas.
Yeah, that's great. Excellent. Thank you so much all for our speakers today. I'm just checking over questions. Oh, we've got one come in. Just give me a moment there. Comment there from Brendan. AI can only be taught from relevant data sets. If we provide the data, who owns the data? Who owns the data? I'd like to think the facility owns the data. I guess that's going to depend on the model, huh?
I would encourage all manufacturers to check the terms and conditions. If you're not owning the data, walk away.
Absolutely. That should be your data. I don't think we had the legislation in place to really say that is your data. But I know there was talk of that a few years ago. But yeah, so thanks, Brad. Check the terms and conditions to make sure you own the data. Great tip. Much appreciated. Good. Well, I'll just finish off with a couple of announcements, if you'll bear with me for one moment. We had a very good site tour last week. That should come up there for you. Hit the road, seeing energy productivity in action. We visited 3 sites, one in the city looking at a domestic hot water heat pump system, one at Canada Bay, their aquatic centre there at Cabarita, a very large, nice 500 kilowatt heat pump system there from Rheem, and then finally we ended up here at Lion, their brewery there at Lidcombe. And really good display of different technologies and ways to improve energy, and it was really well received. And with that, I'd like to announce we got fired up after that, everyone wanting more. Said, right, let's lock in this next one. So really happy to announce that on the 29th of November, we'll be doing a visit to the Hardwicks Kyneton site there, which is about 45 minutes outside of Melbourne. And that is the absolute latest cutting edge for heat pump solutions within Australia. About a 1 megawatt heat pump, ammonia. It has integration with the existing refrigeration system on their condenser, the oil cooler, the desuperheater. This is really a fabulous installation. You'll be able to go and speak to Mark Hardwick, will be there to answer questions on the ARENA funding and the process they went through. We'll also have Hoctor Refrigeration there, who was the installers, and Kevin Joyce there, who was the one that did the original design. So the registrations were open for that one next week. Now we'll also do another site as well. We're just waiting to lock that one in. It's likely to be an electrified aquatic centre, which with a very large set of heat pumps there as well. So I hope you'll join us for that one coming up next month. Another quick piece of news, and I may have mentioned this last webinar, that we are doing ongoing with our boiler mapping exercise of working with the federal government there. And this is to understand the energy usage and the size of equipment and the size of what needs to happen for this transition for renewable heating to get these sites off to whether it's electrification, biomass or biogas or hydrogen. This study is going to start diving into that, what's the right direction there. Finally, if you do want some more A2EP, follow us on LinkedIn or go to our website and subscribe for our e-news. You'll get the latest alerts there and a monthly newsletter that just came out today. Thanks, Brad. I need to update that for the Queensland grant that only just came out. We'll make sure that everybody in our network knows about that one. You mentioned before it was about minimum 50K but focus on Industry 4.0 solutions. So it sounds like a really good program. We'll get that out, an alert out for that one very quickly. So that's all that's left for me today to say is thank you so much for our speakers. So I will do one more check to see if there's a question here. I've got a question that I can handle personally. I'll take that later. So it looks like we've got no more questions on that one. So yeah, let me wrap up by thanking our speakers here today, and thanks very much for joining us. But to Rob, Brian from OECC, we had Carlo from Schneider, Gus from ENH, and Brad from Reliability. Many thanks for joining us here today and in presentations. And thanks for the audience, and wish you the best for the afternoon. Thank you. Bye.